This is how I fixed my spongy brake pedal for good. Hello all, I drive a 1995 GMC Suburban, and this truck has had a very spongy brake pedal since I've owned it. And although it's old, it only has 79,000 original miles on it. Well, guess what? I fixed it. I fixed the spongy brake pedal, and this is how I did it. So when I bought the truck, the braking was always an issue. Soon after I bought it, I did a full brake job up front, replacing the rotors and the pads with ceramic pads. And you know, it stopped good, but the pedal itself was still very spongy. Had to press it all the way down to the floor, it seemed, in order to get some form of reaction from the truck. Just not a very confidence-inspiring feel. Now, however, the brakes feel worlds different. Yes, I've replaced all of the braking components, but the pedal itself, the spongy brake pedal is now gone. Personally, I would liken it to probably the way this thing felt rolling off of the assembly line. Now, there are a few things I did to arrive here, and there's one thing I did not do that a lot of people swear by. What I didn't do was change the master cylinder. There are a lot of people online in forums and on YouTube who swear by swapping the master cylinder. Basically, what they do is they take the next generation master cylinder and they'll swap it into these older generation trucks. There's one or two fittings you got to use to make it all work, but most of the time when I read the results, everyone's saying that this upgrade dramatically improves the brake pedal performance. Now, this works for a lot of people, and I'm not denouncing that at all. I'm just simply saying that I didn't have to go that far to achieve night and day results. Also, I want to say that I didn't originally set out to solve a spongy brake pedal. What I was doing was a full front disc brake system restoration back to OEM or AC Delco. What do you say we head out in the truck, I'll let my wife drive, and we can see what she thinks. Okay guys, so here I am in car trying to prove to you exactly what I'm talking about. I know it's really hard because I'm driving the car, you're not here, you can't feel it, right? So I have an idea. I'm gonna have my wife, who did drive this car a lot before when the brakes were, not so great. She hasn't driven it ever since I did this big upgrade, replacing the entire front braking system. She hasn't got to feel this brake pedal, how it feels now, nothing like that. So why don't I throw her in the driver's seat and I'll film her and get her reaction live on camera, and we'll see what she thinks and how she thinks the pedal feels versus the way it used to feel. That's about as good as I think it's gonna get, guys, in terms of having someone else experience it other than me telling you. So let's do that. All right, babe, so here you are in the car.
Here I am.
At Ferris Patton on Instagram.
Don't forget to put it this time.
I know, I always forget to link that. I'll link it down below and put it on the screen. So, tell me, you drove this truck back when it was our family vehicle, our daily driver, and the only truck we had. We just had our daughter, and we were trying to be really safe. And it was safe, but the brakes never, ever felt that good.
Never. I would have to push so hard, and I'd be nervous thinking, is it gonna stop? Is it gonna stop? Every time.
Yeah.
And it did, okay, but I felt like I was slipping on ice a little bit.
So what you're experiencing, or what you did experience, was a spongy brake pedal.
Sure, if that's what you call it.
Yeah, and there's lots of reasons why that happens.
Okay.
And I think that I have fixed the multiple reasons why that happens. So much so that I'm thinking that your reaction is actually going to be really good on this, and I think you're going to love this.
I'm kind of excited. I'm sort of nervous though, because I don't really like when you watch me drive. I feel like you're judging me.
All right, yeah, that's true. I'll try not to judge you, although you're going to be on camera and I'm going to be watching you.
No parallel parking?
No parallel parking.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so tell them what car you actually drive day to day now. That's your daily driver.
Yeah, I drive the 05.
Yep, 05. GMC Envoy. Goodness gracious, come on. All right, so 05 GMC Envoy. And how do the brakes feel on that?
Like butter.
Like a brand new vehicle, right? Because the car only has 30,000 miles on it, so it's like new.
And I have driven this Suburban in snow before. I've driven it in Vegas and I've driven it in LA. So I've had experience driving it. However, it's been about probably 4 months since I've actually been in the driver's seat.
Okay, so let's throw you in the driver's seat and see how you react.
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead and jump up in there.
Okay, I have to adjust it big time.
Go ahead and put it in drive.
Uh-huh.
Got that going.
Cars are coming. braking.
Make sure you're safe.
Okay. Okay. Oh, there's no stop sign right here.
Okay, so yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Just keep going.
All right. No pressure. I'm kind of excited. Woo!
Don't do that.
Here I go. You know what was cool about that?
What?
I thought I had to try to stop way back there to be able to stop by here. But I didn't. I like stopped way far back. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
Okay.
you were expecting it to be
I was
much
anticipating
worse.
it to take longer to stop. Okay, I'm gonna do the next
So,
one.
you know, we have brand new brake pads, brand new. So the brakes are rebuilt, so that, of course they're going to stop better. But what we're focusing on here is the feel of the brake pedal. Do you notice that the brake pedal feels more firm and more like a normal vehicle where you don't have to press it all the way down to the ground?
Let me do it again. Yes. But I also noticed it didn't make a noise either. It feels like a new car. And I'm not just saying that.
Seriously.
It feels like a new car. It stops like just as quick as my Envoy, Jim.
Okay, there's a stop sign coming up.
Okay.
I want you to go pretty quick up to it, and I want you to use the brakes like you would normally do.
Like normal
Yeah.
or like punch it?
No. Just
Okay.
just use the brakes like normal. Like
I definitely do not have to push it down, like where I'm going like this, you know? Where
Yeah.
like you push it and then you go like this and push it more.
so it feels reassuring.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a normal, like you probably how this thing would feel coming off the assembly line.
It feels like a new car. And how old is this car again? I can't do math.
24 years old.
Honestly, Jimmy, like for real, this feels great. Even like, okay, so right now trying to slow down. It just feels like Steiter. You know what I
Steit.
mean by Steit? I feel like I'm in a video game. Wow.
So big improvement.
Big improvement.
What's the final verdict?
Good job, babe.
Thanks.
It feels great. It feels safe, feels like a new car. And it's fun to drive. I love this. I just love vintage cars. Is this considered vintage if it's 90s?
24 years old? I don't know. I guess you could say that.
Okay, one more. Now this time I'm gonna slam on my brakes as if, you know, a kid ran out in front of me and I was trying to stop. Okay, ready?
Okay, yeah.
Ah!
Oh, gosh. Well, all right. You saw just when I saw. That was the first time my wife has driven this truck since I did the brake restoration. So let's talk about the few things that I had to do to get this result. Now, these are the steps I took and what I think is the most critical. Number one, I swapped the brake calipers for brand new AC Delco units. And I think most importantly here, I used the included brand new slide pins and properly lubed them. I used very good grease for this and I will link it below. It's by a company called CRC, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. This stuff is made for brakes and it works very well in your slide pins. These properly lubed slide pins I think are absolutely critical to a firm brake pedal. Without properly lubed and fully functioning slide pins, that caliper will not work correctly. And it goes without saying, if your caliper is not working correctly, your brake pedal is going to show it. So step one, ensure a properly functioning caliper and make sure your slide pins actually slide. You must use the correct grease here. One that's made for brakes and can withstand the high heat. I'll link the one I used down in the description below. Okay, so number two, I replaced my brake flex lines. You know, the ones that connect to the back of the caliper. Brand new OEM flex lines may not be as critical for a firm brake pedal, but they're really cheap, they're easy to replace, and if you're already replacing the caliper, why would you not do it? So do it. And here you can see my old flex line that I cut open to see how it was built. And it looks like they're built pretty well, but like anything will potentially break down over time. So for me, at 24 years old, it just made sense to swap. So step two, replace the brake flex line. And number three, flush the entire hydraulic brake system. And I do mean a complete flush. I did not leave one drop of the old fluid in the entire brake system. To do this, I first sucked out all the fluid in the master cylinder reservoir. I just used a turkey baster, sucked it out, and put it into a catch pan. Once empty, I used a clean rag and wiped out the entire inside of the reservoir. Once that was done, I refilled it with brand new DOT 3 fluid. Then I used a handheld vacuum pump to suck the old old fluid out of each line until brand new fluid was flowing through it. Now, I'm not talking about just a regular brake bleed here. I'm talking about letting that fluid flow until it is absolutely pristine, crystal clear. Then you know you've got every last drop of old fluid out of there. In case you don't know, brake fluid is hygroscopic, which means it absorbs moisture from the air. And over time, that brake fluid will be contaminated with water. And being that water's boiling point is much lower than brake fluid, it will turn to a vapor which is easily compressed, thereby adding to your spongy brake pedal. So step 3, flush all the brake fluids and replace it with brand new fluid. Those 3 items, in no particular order, are what I think are the most critical parts of a firm brake pedal. Your brand new caliper and functioning slide pins, your brand new flex line, and replacing all of that hydraulic fluid. But there are other things that I think do matter, like your brake pads and your rotor. As for the pads, ceramic will give you the most firm feel at the pedal, and that's what I installed in my truck. And for the rotors, I say stick with OEM. That way you can ensure proper materials, thickness, and overall quality. Okay, to recap, I now have a much improved brake pedal in my 1995 OBS Suburban. I got here by installing brand new calipers, properly lubing the slide pins, replacing the flex line, and very importantly, flushing the entire brake system. Now, this isn't a simple 20-minute fix, but it's also not that hard to do. And in my case, at least, well worth the time and money. I will be, in the very near future, replacing my master cylinder. And this is due to a very small leak at the front gasket of the master cylinder reservoir. For some reason, you can't just buy the gaskets, you gotta buy an entire master cylinder, so I'm just gonna do that. But I will stick with OEM AC Delco. Now, some of you might be wondering if I'm going to do the upgrade to the NBS master cylinder, and no, I'm not going to, because of the performance I'm already getting with my old one. To me, this brake pedal feels great, and I don't wanna mess with that. So I'm gonna keep it simple, stupid, and use the same OEM part that came out of this truck. Now, I'm confident that this truck is now braking probably pretty close to how it came off of the assembly line. And apparently, my wife thinks so too. All right, guys, so there you have it. Even my wife, right there, you saw it live as she experienced it for her first time, thinks these brakes are night and day better, right, babe?
Night and day better, like a brand new car.
Like a brand new car. Basically, the way I'm describing it is this is the way it probably felt rolling off of the assembly line back in 1995. I would have to imagine. I don't know how much better it would get than this. They feel fantastic.
Can I start driving this a little bit more and you can drive my Envoy?
No. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was at least entertaining for you. Maybe you got something out of it, maybe you didn't. If you did, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. Also, be sure to check the description below for links and check out Ferris's Instagram at FerrisPatton.
Woohoo!
Other than that, guys, I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Ferris.
This is One Road, and I will see you
on the next one.
on the next one.
Bye.